I started doing the math. Yeah.
I was surprised.
Being four,
I have an antique down here, you can only use it.
It's an interesting thing. When my grandmother down there, just got scattered to say, I'm not able to listen to
Yeah, that's what she was saying. She's saying, you know, it's going to be weird because they have lots of two sister-in-laws and
I read it. Sorry.
they all have
So they're taking.
They say every time they have yard sales, they end up going to a friend's house and they'll see some of their stuff. You got that.
I recently started watching that sort of stuff.
Oh, I love it.
I never understood the show, but now that I slowly acquired this stuff.
She gave us two pictures. I'm not sure if they were printed or photographs, but they're my husband's family is also from Ontario originally, and they're two of one's Lake of the Mountain, one's the Bay. I got to the more looking on it to see, and they're really good.
I can go to your stuff home.
They were here many years ago.
They should come back.
Yeah, they were done in the past.
Do you like to do a motion to bring in road trip and everything?
Sure.
It's up to you. Special limitations. You know, just at lunch. I would like to call this meeting of the Audit, Finance and Administration Committee to order. Members of the public are advised that our meetings are webcast live by the City of Hamilton and temporarily archived on the city's website. Other individuals and the media may also be audibly and/or visually recording this meeting. Mr. Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, there are 3 changes to the agenda. Added as item 8.1A is correspondence submitted by Karen Berniak-Booman respecting lead water service replacement loan program amendments to be considered at the time of the staff report. Also added to this item is 8.1B, which is correspondence by Graham Meredith. And then added as item 10.1 will be a notice of motion by Councillor A. Johnson respecting performance measurement, best practice, and next steps. I will ask that the councillor introduce this at the appropriate time.
May I please have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Collins, thank you, and Councillor Vanderbeek, thank you very much. All in favor? That is carried. Number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, I will move on to item 3, approval of the minutes of our previous meeting, which was January the 18th, 2016. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes of our January 18th, 2016 meeting? Thank you, Councillor Pearson and Councillor Vanderbeek. All in favor? That is carried. Item 4 would normally be delegation requests. However, we have no delegation requests today. Item number 5 is consent items. 5.1, Treasurer's appointment of land taxes. This pertains to Ward 5. Are there any questions or discussion with respect to item 5.1? Councillor Collins, please.
Just very briefly, it's actually in Councillor Marula's area, so I would suggest that it just be amended to the appropriate ward, Ward 4.
Thank you. So, Mr. Clerk, to do that, does that require a motion, or how does that work?
I'll be able to adjust that report.
Great. So we still need, if I'm not mistaken, a motion to approve item 5.1. So Councillor Pearson and Councillor Collins, all in favor? That is carried. Item 6,
would normally be delegations. However, there are no delegations today. And likewise, item 7, presentations, there are no presentations. We shall move on to item 8, which is discussion items. 8.1, lead water service replacement loan program amendments, a citywide matter. Please note, item 8.1A is correspondence submitted by Karen Burnyak-Bauman respecting lead water service replacement loan program amendments, and this is for consideration with this report. Are there any questions or discussion with regard to item 8.1? Councillor Pearson.
Mr. Chairman, and good morning. I just for memory, because I'm just drawing a blank on this, but is this is a new fee that we're adding, the $50 fee for any property owner that wants to take advantage of the program, or even if they don't take advantage of the program, are they charged this fee if they change the lead services?
To staff.
So through the chair, in terms of the changes to the program, that is one of the changes that staff are recommending in terms of the new fee, additional fee, non-refundable fee. The other change is increasing the amount of the loan from $2,000 to $2,500. I'll just remind committee that this program was initiated in 2007 as a pilot program and became a permanent program in 2008. The amount of the loan hasn't changed since that time, so staff are recommending a change to the amount of loan from $2,000 to $2,500 maximum, and that going forward that the General Manager of Finance and Corporate Services have the authority to change the amount of the loan every 5 years related to a construction price index. But again, to the question of admin fee, it is a non-refundable admin fee.
But it's just the administration fee for the loan itself. That's all that's to do with. And I think that I see the letters that have come in, and I just want to be sure that they understand that it's just the fee for the loan, no different than if you go to the bank or anywhere else, they're going to charge you a fee. Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Collins.
Just a quick question. After reading the report, I'm interested to know what precipitated the fee itself, because if you look at the report, you know, the applications for the program are trending in the wrong direction. They peaked a number of years ago, so if someone came forward and said we're going to implement a new fee because we're being overloaded in terms of staff time and resources processing applications, but start to look at the numbers, there hasn't been much uptake compared to previous years. So I just wondered internally what the thought process was. Is it because we were amending the loan program to allow for a greater amount of resources for the homeowner, or is it just that we're looking for a new revenue source? Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah. So through the chair, the staff are putting forward the recommendation with respect to the admin fee. We have not charged in previous years an admin fee. $50,000 does not represent the full cost of the administrative staff to support the program. Probably reflects about half of the cost of administering the program and the loan. So again, it's put before committee as a means of covering some of the cost of administrating the program, not reflect the full cost.
Is there a reason, through you, Mr. Chairman, Mike, why we wouldn't have contemplated a cost recovery fee when we started the program?
Through the chair, I would suggest back in 2007, 2008, in terms of the pilots feedback, we really didn't have a sense in terms of what the annual uptake would be, as well as at that time, we really didn't have a sense over that pilot period in terms of the given that we've had a number of years since 2008, we have a better sense of what those administrative costs are. Again, it's put before committee as an option. Staff are recommending it in terms of recovering some of the cost of administering the program. Another option committee could have is to capitalize that cost. So in the case of the amount of the loan, one option would be to include part of the overall loan, so we could increase it to $2,000. Capitalize it as part of the loan amount, have the option of paying the administrative costs.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Do further questions, Councillor Collins?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. I don't see, oh, pardon me, Councillor Vanderbeek, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mike. Mike, in the report, it says that we charge 0.25% for loan administration on the 10-year cost to borrow. Tell me why we need to charge an administration fee on top of that? I mean, if they get a loan, they're going to be paying an administration fee. I guess if they don't get a loan, they aren't, but I'm just not clear about that.
So through the chair, it actually represents two different costs and fees. The loan terms include foregone opportunity for the city to invest that funding. So it is that portion, which is approximately 2.54% would be the loan term. And then in terms of our investment section, in terms of their role in this program as it relates to the loan program, there's an admin fee for investment section of an additional 0.25 or 25 basis points. So it really represents two different costs. One is in terms of our F&A area, in terms of administering the program, the $50 that staff are recommending, and as it relates to our investment section, the 25 basis points or 0.25 represents their staff. So again, the 0.25 is consistent with the city's external loan policy. We have those terms in all of our external loans as it relates to individuals and organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I don't see any further questions. Therefore, may I please have a motion to approve item 8.1 and receive items 8.1A and 8.1B. Councillor Pearson, and seconded by, if I may, Councillor Vanderbeek. All in favor? Carried. We're moving on to item 8.2, which is our 2002 International Swaps and Derivatives Association Master Agreement with CIBC proposed and other Canadian Schedule 1 banks. Alternative agreements. This is a citywide matter. Are there any questions or discussions with respect to item 8.2? I have a question, and Councillor Pursuit is in here. Councillor Pearson, would you mind taking the chair for a moment? Thanks very much. And I feel I have a good grasp on the information being shared in this report. And I just want to ask a question occurring to me from page 3 of the report. There's a statement that's made. I just want to make sure I understand what the statement is saying. This is under historical background chronology of events, starting on page 2, going on to page 3. And this is the presentation of good arguments as to why we should authorize our staff to go ahead and implement the 2002 International Swaps and Derivatives Agreement and give authority to put in place other similar agreements, I believe, with other banks. So that's sort of me leading on to my question. I'm going to read out the sentence that has provoked my question, actually 2 sentences. So significant market makers in the derivatives markets for these transactions include other Schedule 1 banks. It is consistent with best practices and financially prudent to have more than one ISDA master agreement in place in order to have the capability to act on the best or competitive pricing when needing to enter into prescribed derivative transactions, and also to diversify counterparty credit risk exposure, thereby reducing the overall credit risk. If I'm understanding this is an argument that says it's good to have agreements in place with more than one bank, not just CIBC, so that we can get the best price when we go to market. Is that a correct understanding of what I just read?
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct. So it's not only the best price, but by having some competitive vigor in terms of going out to market, is we would have the option of engaging different parties. So again, we're hoping for some competition to arrive at the best price.
Yeah, great. In that case, I did understand it. I'm glad. Thank you very much. I'll take the chair back. So, seeing no further questions, may I please have a motion to approve item 8.2. Councillor Vanderbeek and Councillor Pearson, all in favor? Carried. Item 8.3, Governance Review Subcommittee Report 16-001, dated January 14 of 2016. Are there any questions or discussion with respect to item 8.3? Councillor Councillor Vanderbeek is moving to approve item 8.3, seconded by Councillor Pearson. All in favor? Great. 8.4, 2016 budget submissions, volunteer advisory committees. Are there any questions or discussion with respect to item 8.4? Seeing none. Councillor Collins, thank you for the motion to approve. Councillor Vanderbeek, thank you for the motion to second. All in favor? Moving on to number 9 is motions. And Councillor Pearson, I'm asking you to take the chair back. Thanks. So, thank you very much, Councillor Pearson. Distributed on yellow paper is the motion I'm proposing. And my intention is to propose a motion to waive the rules so that we can do this today. I'm happy to leave this as a notice of motion if you, my fellow colleagues, have concerns and want to leave it as a notice. But I think I'm okay moving my motion to waive the rules. So if I may, I will place that motion. And Councillor Collins, are you still willing to serve as secretary for that motion?
Yes.
Great. So do we need to vote on waiving the rules?
Okay, so we have a notice of motion and a motion to waive the rules moved by yourself, second by Councillor Collins. And your motion now is up to a motion. Councillor Johnson, how did you wish to proceed?
Thanks. I'll read out the text and then just say a few words about why I'm bringing this forward. So the motion text is as follows. That staff be directed to investigate and report back to the Audit, Finance and Administration Committee in September 2016 with respect to A, general best practices and or models in empirical data-based performance measurement protocol systems across city organizations, i.e. Canadian municipal governments similar to the City of Hamilton, and B, next steps in implementing a refined, broad, empirical data-based performance measurement protocol system for the City of Hamilton with options and recommendations. That is my motion, and Councillor Collins has agreed to serve as seconder for my motion.
So your motion's on the floor,
yes.
Councillor Johnson, moved by yourself, second by Councillor Collins. I do have a question of staff on it, so I'll give you the chair back if I can.
I will, yes.
Through to Mr. Brown. Good morning, Mr. Brown. Just my question is, the good councillor in his motion is recommending that this come back September 2016. I was under the impression that this whole process is under the money for audit review. So is this not one and the same? And is this timeline achievable?
I appreciate the question. Through to staff.
Through the chair, thank you for the question. It's not the same thing as what we're doing with the value for money. This would be actually part of the work that we do in our work plan. So we would report, it's an objective report, kind of the state of the nation on performance measurement. So it would be done by the team, but it's not the whole purpose of having the team, and that would be a separate evaluation of the contribution that those particular auditors have made over the course of conducting their work plan. So there are many other activities that are being conducted at the same time. As to the date, September 16th, 2016. There's a significant scope of work involving consultation, jurisdictional research. We have other projects on the go. Plus, I think it's fundamental that we, with the strategic plan coming out in June, I think we need to make sure that our advice fits with the conclusions and the final version of that strategic plan. So we would have to take that into account in our work. Plus, we have other things on our work plan to do. So this would be our independent report back to you on the current state of performance measures in the city and what recommendations we would have.
Thank you. If I can, through you, Mr. Chairman. So do you anticipate that would there be any problem in meeting this target? I'm just concerned that I don't want you rushed in putting together, because it sounds like there's a lot of background information, a lot of things that have to be correlated in order to give us a true snapshot here. And I don't want to seem rushed, and I don't want to have it that, you feel that you're being bumped back, but I'd rather have staff go away and come back and say, yes, we can meet the target for this date. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and I think Mr. Murray had wanted to pipe in on this also, so he might
Please, Mr. Murray.
have something to assist.
So if I can, through the chair, I think Charles has indicated why September does make sense. And certainly it works well from a strategic planning perspective. Plus, as well, this will be useful information when we start to contemplate multi-year budgeting. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with that. Just, I guess, in a different arena, if you will, the CAOs are wrestling with performance measurement now in a way that I haven't seen before. And I have the good fortune of being the chair of the Ontario Municipal Benchmarking Initiative, and which is now extended beyond Ontario. In fact, captures a number of cities across the country. And it's interesting, all of us as we do our strategic plans and our multi-year budgeting are really wanting to kind of look at performance measurement in a way that we haven't in the past, and to make it more useful to councillors in terms of decisions that you have to make, and help our community better understand how we invest money, how we generate value for service, but how we manage the performance of our organization as it relates to key community goals. So there's a lot of research going on. So this isn't really, I think, any original research that Charles and his team will do. Makes perfect sense. It would be our auditor, I think, that is kind of leading this on our behalf. I mean, working with me, obviously, but and I'll just mention this, that we're having some very preliminary discussions with the McMaster University on this topic as well. So they are very interested, and in fact, they are looking across Canada right now in the United States at municipalities that are that seem to be having some success with performance measurement. So timing, I think, is great. September, if it's ambitious, we'll let you know if there's any issue with that, because we will not rush a product that doesn't work. At the end of the day, we're here to not just manage our business, but to communicate to the community that their money is well spent, and what better way than through good performance measurement criteria. So the timing is good, and I like an ambitious deadline.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I could. Thank you, Mr. Murray. I appreciate that. And I just wanted to be sure, because I agree. I just want a good, comprehensive report. And I always say, we do it once, do it right, do it once. And it'll be a good jump off for the next processes that we have. So I have no problem with that, as long as I have confidence in staff that they can meet it. Thank you.
And since it's my motion, I'll give the chair to you, Councillor Pearson. I believe we're ready to vote.
Yes, sir. So the motion's on the floor then, sorry. The motion's on the floor, moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Collins. All in favor?
Carried.
Carried. Any opposed? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thanks, I'll take the chair back. So we're through with motions and notices of motion. 11 is general information, of which there is none. 12 is private and confidential business, of which there is none. May I please have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Pearson and Councillor Vanderbeek, all in favor? Thank you. I would from the best. Thank you very much.